So hello and welcome to the Black Phoenix podcast. I am your host, Alger Parrott. And first and foremost, I'd like to thank both of you for your service, Sergeant Marrero and Chief Tallette. So if you guys can introduce yourselves for this.
All right. I'm Chief Brian Tallette, U.S. Navy retired. I'm an instructor over at Spring High School.
Okay, so I'm First Class Milton Marrero. I'm an Army instructor at Westview High School.
What skills do you guys recommend for both the Army and the Navy?
Well, personally, regardless, at least part of my background, I was a recruiter. Spent 14 years doing recruiting. So basically, joining the military, it is a scenario that it's not an easy decision to make. It's not the easiest one. It's fun, but it's a scariest one at the same time. So at least within the Army, it just depends on what would you like to do.
Yeah.
Each branch of the service have several things that they can offer. Stuff that it is done mainly on land is the Army, and mainly in the water with the Navy.
Well, from my experience, the best way for someone to choose a branch of service is just to decide which job they want to do. Between all the branches, all 4 branches, you have something of every part of the civilian sector. So if you see it on the civilian sector side, there's a military job there. So figure out what you want to do and then find a branch of service that offers that.
Okay.
You do have to meet certain qualifications though. You need to be a high school graduate, 17, or have a parent consent. Those type of things will ensure that you're ready. Plus you need to be able to pass a physical.
A lot of people have a lot of thoughts and ideas about the military. And what's the most common or like the biggest misconception about the military that you guys have seen?
Well, what I have seen, the biggest one is that everything is an easy breezy, right? And we're coming to a situation where we're getting kids that come from high school, and most of the time, most of the people who are serving right now are 17 to 24. Okay, so basically we're getting these kids to mature in like 0 to 120 in just a few months.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're kind of like trying to go up to speed and stuff like that, you're getting that someone which is very young to give a high level of responsibility. Which is something that you don't get to see in a civilian employer right now.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things I think is a myth is that you're going to actually go and you're going to be fighting in some foreign country. 90% of the military will never see combat action.
Really? And just as a final thing before we move on, do you guys have any advice for anyone interested in joining ROTC or joining the military?
My advice would be talk to your local recruiters, whichever branch of service that you choose.
Pretty much what he said, but something that our programs bring to the table, especially that level of experience. Someone needs to give those kids or those people who want to join the military that first chance, that first opportunity to earn that experience. And being able to lead within the ranks, within their student body, it is something that they're going to take. It's kind of like they're learning how to shape that tool that they're going to put it on their toolbox. And then once they graduate, that they move and they want to do the military, it is that something that is that tool that they can reach and go say, I know how to lead people. I know how to exercise leadership, which is provide purpose, direction, and motivation in order to get someone or a group of people to do something.
It takes a lot of discipline. It takes a lot of maturing to make that decision and then go into it. I have family in the military that's gone through that, and they've said all the same things. It's a hard process.
Hi everyone, I'm Neka Hiwe, a 10th grade student from Winchie. I'm your other host. My first question is, does the military provide mental health services?
Yes. Well, basically, all branches of the military, not just the Army. Medical services are performed, it's not just mental health, but family therapy. Every aspect of the medical field is always provided to us Like for our scenario, when you are on active duty, pretty much all those services are provided to you on any military base.
We have something called TRICARE when you're on active duty. And once you're out of active duty, you actually can utilize the VA services. And one of the great resources to have is OneSource. That's a component that you just call a number and they'll put you with the right counselor, medical attention, dental, vision, mental health. All of that's sourced in one thing with the name OneSource, that you can find everything that you would need.
Interesting. How did training for your careers help your mindset in life?
Going back to maturing in a very fast pace. Getting to that point where you are handling a high level of responsibility. It takes upon as well on how well you educate yourself, at least in the military service, combined with what you can do in the civilian sector. As you are performing your duties in the military, you can go to school parallel to it, and you can learn the best of both worlds. So when you are actually either discharged or retire from the military, you can utilize those skills that you learn in the military in order to make it your next career. We are the plain example to that. We did different jobs in our military careers. However, we came to a spot where we are teaching leadership.
Yeah, for myself, I'm a photojournalist by trade. So I started off with learning film when I initially joined the military back in 1991. A long time ago, right? Before I actually retired, I was very proficient in digital photography. I was one of the first people to actually learn digital in the military service and bring it in aboard ship. So learning all from film to digital, you constantly were evolving. And that's one of the great things about the military. They stay on the cutting edge. So all of that technology, I constantly adapted every year, learning new skills, new sets. And then I took that and had certification. So when came time for me to retire, not only did I have my NEC, which is my job code, I also had skill sets in training, logistics, and a whole variety of different things that gave me a bunch of avenues to go into once I was ready for retirement.
Did you have any struggles after service?
I would say the biggest struggle, and not necessarily a struggle, change of life was you're constantly deployed depending on your job. And for me, I was deployed 6 months out of every year that I was in service as a photojournalist traveling the world. So coming home and co-parenting with my wife was probably the biggest adjustment I had to make, being home every day and learning to make that adjustment of sharing those roles and responsibilities.
See, something that happens when we are serving for so long. You know, just like I think we're about pretty much because what month did you join?
I joined in June of '91.
See, I joined in November of '91. Mm-hmm. Okay, and something that I can tell you, which is, it is a contrast when you are in a military organization, right? You have a structure, and that structure where everybody has their skill sets. Everybody that has the role is already set and done. Okay, and it takes senior NCOs like Chief and I to say this is what needs to be done. When we get out of the military and you're dealing with regular civilians, what we are used to see leadership wise is totally different. And that's how, in my honest and humble opinion, what I have seen, that's what made me become an ROTC instructor, because there's the structure. Many civilian companies do not have a structure, or they say they do, but how to make things happen in a fashion way, this is the way.
My last question for you guys is, how can students support the military?
Depending on, in the schools, one of the very first things that they can do is when they're a specific local unit. Like, for example, here in the area, we have local Marine Corps reserves, we have National Guard, we have local Navy Reserve unit, Army Reserve units. Reach out to them and look into, hey, you got people deployed, is there's like care packages that we can send out. I have seen that happen before from other schools, which is something that someone that has been away from their families from so long, receiving that something, that little touch, saying, we appreciate you for the service, that is something that it gets carved on your heart.
One of the things that I find is most beneficial when I see it happening is just citizenship. Going out in your communities, contributing back, doing the things that make your, not just the country better, but your community better. Being involved in local politics, being involved in what changes are going to take place in your schools and your neighborhoods. Those things are what we try to instill, and those are the things that most people in the military are fighting for when we deploy overseas, is our way of life. So when you take that and you actually utilize it within your local areas, that's what motivates us to continue to do the things that we do.
Okay. Hello, Sergeant Marrero and Chief Tallette. Again, I want to thank you for being here and taking time out of your daily life to come and be part of this episode. Okay. I wanted to say, again, thank you very much for your service to both of y'all. It's greatly appreciated. We see it every day. I wanted to ask, what was your favorite aspect of the military?
Mine was serving the local community. I grew up in reserve units, and reserve units usually are usually set up in rural areas, at least the vast majority of them. And in many occasions, knowing that you are able, with your military skill sets, that you are able to help your community no matter what happens, it was something that was very fulfilling to me.
My favorite aspect was just being able to do my job, which is an historian, capturing history. When you open up a history book and you're learning about the Civil War, there was a photographer or a journalist there capturing that so you can know about that. Me traveling overseas, being in Iraq, Afghanistan, in Cuba doing detainee ops, working for the Defense Intelligence Agency. All these different places I was able to go to and capture history and put it in archives so that future generations could have that and look back and know articles that I've written and pictures that I've taken are going to be there forever. That's been a rewarding experience.
The fact that you guys actually see for other people to be able to see what's going on, what happened. Something that many people have is a misconception about what is JROTC itself. Many people think it's extremely, how would I word this? Like, it's extremely military killing, meaning like it's the exact thing. I mean, I know it's not because I'm part of it, right? Can you guys mind explaining what is more like JROTC?
The JROTC is a military science program, okay? And the way it's structured, it runs parallel like if it was an active duty unit. Except for there's no military maneuvers. Everything that is said and done is structured in a way in order to create a solid foundation for students that either want to be part of the military or they want to go to school and they want to find a path regardless of the career that they want to do in the civilian world. Because leadership in the military and leadership in a civilian organization is pretty much the same.
And for me, I feel like JROTC teaches citizenship development as well as leadership, responsibility, and accountability. All things that are going to help you be successful no matter what you do in life. If you go off to college, you need to be accountable for time. You need to make your assignments. You need the leadership when you go off into a job so you can move up in a company. So all those things that we bring at a very local level get you started early, which is something that your peers may not be having at this time. They may not be guided in the same way that you are, or have the same motivations because you have those things within a small group, depending on the size of your unit. And you start developing those skills very early. And when someone is a leader, they stand out from everyone else. So when ROTC just enhances those natural abilities that you already have.
It's really good that you guys see this in the program and you guys try to put effort into it so it can grow into the units in the JROTC programs. Lastly, are there any organizations that you guys would like to share or support?
At least at Westfield, we try to support anyone that reaches out to us. Okay, and the way it is set is because no matter what is going on in the school, football team requires leadership, and we work with them by providing the color guard, the flaggers every time there's a sports game and all that stuff, and we provide that to them. Okay, in many occasions we need we do what is called service learning activity. On that service learning activity, regardless of what it is need for us to do within the school, it is something that we support.
I agree with Sergeant Marrero that it's supporting every aspect of school. Any organization that's within the school, I think we all should be out there supporting, because those are kids that are doing positive things when you're involved. Statistics show that if you're involved in an organization in high school, you're more than likely going to graduate on time, which is what we all aspire to have happen. A higher graduation rate with people graduating on time and being more successful, being college bound or workforce bound. And if you're part of an organization, you're more than likely going to succeed in doing those things.
See, another thing to piggyback with what he's saying is, when you keep a classroom open, you are keeping a jail cell closed. Okay? When you are providing the mentorship that many kids do not have, because many kids come from broken families or dysfunctional families, and in many occasions the instructors are like an extra set of parents. You know, sometimes students come to us and tell us things, hey, what should I do about the future and all those stuff, which is something that in many occasions they do not talk to the parents at all. That is the influence that we instill on students everywhere in the school.
Yeah, because I know teachers, they have a huge influence in our lives. I mean, I see teachers, I see them more than my parents sometimes itself, because I mean, they work, they have their things to do, right? And teachers are the person that I can go for advice. I mean, you've seen it yourself. I asked you things about my future life as well. It's something that I see as, I appreciate it very much, because at the end of the day I have that mentorship from my teachers, and it's something that I just take as a good thing, that it's I know these people are here to support me and they want me to grow.
Absolutely.
And it's a nice feeling.
So hi everyone, I'm going to be your host for this segment. Right here we have Lily and we have Al Anderson. They're both members of JROTC, and we're going to talk a little bit about their experience on ROTC, and if you're interested in joining, these are all student submitted questions, so we might be answering your question today. So my first question is, most of our viewers are Wenchi students, and how do you balance attending a career academy and also attending what's considered an extracurricular?
Well, as we can see, I mean, I know she has transfers first period, right? I have it 8. It's a whole different segment itself. For example, when I want to stay after school here at Wenchi for activities, I have to either find a ride right after school at Westfield, that's my transfer school, to get here again, or try to get an excuse as my attendance for my 8 period. It gets a bit complicated sometimes, because you're trying to be at an event and then you can't because there's many difficulties, like I can't find a ride, or I can't get a hold of my teacher before time. And sometimes you do wish that you would like to, but at the end of the day, I don't regret it. I think it's good what I'm doing over there. I'm sharing my knowledge with my peers, sharing my potential with them. Right? I'm helping the program itself, and that's my take on it.
That's great. I didn't know that you had to transfer back and forth. I think it's good that we have transportation, but it's definitely, we could have more, I feel like. So Lily, what's your point of view on that?
Time management is the biggest thing that helps with balancing a career academy and the extracurricular. And with Wenchi's transportation, it brings me back to Wenchi towards the end of my classes, so I have to get a lot of my homework done after school, and then get the assignments that I missed when I come back to school. and like I don't have a lot of free time. It's all just homework. So
I understand
yeah.
that. Yeah. So so you get to ROTC. What's usually like the first few things that you do when you get there?
As soon as I get there, I need to start writing my vocabulary words, right? For example, on Monday, vocabulary words, I need to write it down, and then on Tuesday, normal grade, I have to wear my uniform every Tuesday for a grade, right? So, and then we continue to work on our lesson. For example, this week we're working on winning colors, which is basically a color that represents you, your way of being, your emotions, the way you act, right? The way you behave. For example, right? And then on Thursdays, it's PT, physical training. Yeah. For example, last Thursday we had marksmanship practice. We made it work. I mean, we switched between groups. That's how usually my week goes, right?
Lily, what about you?
When we get to class, we get information from muster, which is attendance, and after attendance, we head to our classrooms to work on academics, or on Wednesdays, we get ready for PT, physical training. And right now, we're studying astronomy.
Oh, that's cool. Wow.
Yeah. We're just looking at key terms of what astronomy is overall, and that's pretty much all we're doing right now.
Wow, that's really interesting. To be honest, I didn't even have like at least a little bit of an idea what ROTC was, but it's really interesting to hear that you have a mix of PT and vocabulary and all kinds of like different aspects, because I feel like, you know, maybe you wouldn't reach out for things like astronomy or colors that defined you. So my last question is going to be, how did you find ROTC? Like, what interested you? Was there a person? Was there like an event that you saw?
I want to start by, I wanted to join ROTC my freshman year. I couldn't though because my schedule was already made, and when I tried to request it, it just didn't happen. The school didn't want to. And then, I mean, I saw it when I applied. I'm gonna start with this. When I applied to Wenshi, I saw an extracurricular activity. I was like, I want to transfer to Westfield. I'll be able to see my old friends at the same time via go to Wenshi as well. And it was an idea. And then I was like, many of my friends were gonna join our JROTC, and I'm like, I want to join this, right? And well, it just came a long way. And then this year I was able to get it, and now we're great. I got an A period over there.
That's awesome. Lily, what about you?
I have family members who did JROTC, so they encouraged me to do it, and at first I really didn't want to do it, but the more time that I spent in class in person, because, you know, we could go online or in person, but it really made me, like, I realized how much JROTC was a community, and everyone like build each other up. There's not a lot of drama or division between our peers, so I really liked that we were all unified, and it's just like, it's a good environment, and it makes you want to be there.
Do you feel like doing PT together and learning together and maybe doing things that challenge you help you build a bond with other people?
Oh yeah, it really does. I mean, it's literally a whole team, right? Without team, there's no structure, right? Well, we have structure. We have our NCOs, our staff. I mean, it all goes in chain of command, right? We have our battalion commander, then goes our executive commander, and then after that goes our staff, right? And we end up making it work, because at the end of the day, we're a team, right? So if one does push-ups for X reason, and it's a group. Let's say it's a whole group that made a mistake, and one person's responsible, but the whole group made the mistake. They're all gonna drop and do push-ups, right? Because we're a team, and it all works together. We're unified.
That's awesome. Lily, what about you?
Learning and doing PT together is really good for everyone, because we're struggling together, and we're growing together. So when we see someone struggling, we can build them up, and then in the process we all build each other up, and it's a lot easier, and it makes things a lot more fun.
That's awesome. So if any of y'all are interested in joining ROTC, we're going to have everything on our Instagram, all of our social medias, like our Spotify and our Apple Music. And if you want to check out any of our other episodes, I think we have one out and it's about child nutrition. So if you're interested in learning about what goes into planning a meal for the week for 15,000 students, you can go check out that. Thank you guys.